Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
Hi everyone, Daphne Lage here. Join Nita Lanning and me on the Rage Into the Vlogs show, where we talk about everything, nothing, and all the bits in between. Looking for hour-long conversations about indie comics, social media marketing, and crowdfunding, with the occasional rant and story time? Head on over to the Rage Into channel on YouTube, Mondays through Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern to join in the chat.
Hit the button.
So I'm like, what comic books are you reading?
Well, we're reading a lot of indie comic books, Kelly. I keep telling you that. You've got to get on board, get on the bandwagon here, and make some good comics. We are proud to be. Yeah, we're proud to be. I haven't had any drinks tonight at all. Swear to God. Look, it's water. We are proud to be here tonight with another podcaster. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at CriticalBlast.com, Chief Envelope Licker for Critical Blast Logistics, Proofreader for Critical Blast Publishing, and Receptionist for Critical Blast Consulting. Yes, they're all real companies, and we've got logos. That's why I have companies. Logos look cool. You got to have a company to go with the logo. So we're there. We've got all of that. Tonight, we are going to be talking with Will from Heroic Studios, who is both podcaster and comic book creator, and we have him here now. Will, how are you, sir?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me on.
It was cool to see you there because it's like I had followed you for years back when you were on Twitter as Will at Heroic Studios, and I'm like, okay, I don't know who these Topic Thunder podcast guys are, and I come into the main room here, and it's like, hey, it's Will. Where'd he go? He's been here. He's back. So I feel like it's, feel like an old friend has come back home.
Yeah, man. It's been weird. A lot of people like you have been looking for me, and they don't realize that I'm here as a Topic Thunder podcast because I'm kind of like incognito from the Twitter admins. Because if they find me, they're gonna boot me off Twitter again because that's what
the
they
Twitter
do.
gulag.
Yeah, exactly. So. But I'm back. So anybody who's followed me on my previous account, Will at Heroic Studios, you can find me at Topic Thunder PDC, and that is my official podcast channel. It's kind of hard though, promoting podcasts and promoting my books at the same time. But I think I'm starting to kind of find that like healthy medium right there. So.
We'll figure a way to do it here. By the way, the link to Will's podcast right below the video there. We got the Anchor link. Of course, we have an Anchor.fm account too that never use. We do use. We've got a few things on it, but this is so much easier. I used to do phone recordings and then upload the phone recordings and then edit things down and then cut it into segments and insert commercial. It was work.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't like doing work.
It's still work because sometimes my podcast partner, he's not available until like Tuesday night to record. And then the episode usually goes live on Wednesday. So I have to edit that night, but we usually just record straight away, and it's not really much in terms of editing or anything. It's mostly just us talking, and then I just take the raw file, and that's the podcast. I don't have to do anything to it. So really simple. But we do new episodes every Wednesday, except this Wednesday since my partner's out of town, but we will probably end up doing our first live stream on Friday, talking about Attack on Titan Season 4. I know a lot of people, we've done all the seasons of Attack on Titan on our show, and people keep on asking us, when are you going to talk about Season 4? Friday, folks. That's when we're going to be doing it, so tune in on that one.
Tune in on Friday. Now, here's how lazy I am, Will. StreamYard actually saves all of these podcasts in their own buffer, and I can download just the audio portion if I want, and I could just upload it to Anchor FM and say, go with it. Right. And I still don't do it.
Well, that's what Zoom does. Zoom actually breaks it down into an MP4 and an MP3. and you can just take the audio file and throw it into whatever editor, or just throw it directly into your podcast and have it upload. So really easy stuff.
I'm monetized. I have advertisements on it, and I'm not using it. And I probably make more money on that than I would on YouTube. But
probably, and you probably won't be like kicked off. Like I don't know if Anchor is like guidelines are as strict as YouTube, but I've had episodes of my show, even when I'm doing comic book interviews, I've had episodes that had to be removed because we said some mean word, and YouTube this is all over the place. So
I've only ever had, like I run a video for somebody's campaign in the middle of the show. So, hey, let's look at your campaign. Oh, you have a video. Let's run it. And of course, their music was something that they grabbed from somewhere else. And I'll get I'll get the notice, not really a strike, but so
like you have a copyrighted material. This isn't a copyright strike. We just here to let you know that if it's monetized, you won't get it. I'm like, that's fine. You guys aren't even trying to monetize me, so I don't really care.
Yeah. I find Facebook is more strict than YouTube is, because it's like you can take something from the YouTube catalog, and if you simulcast to Facebook like we're doing right now, UMG is constantly looking for music. I mean, if I whistled "Leave It to Beaver" right now, UMG would probably pick it up and file a complaint with Facebook, and I say, nope, it's mine, and I wait 3 days and UMG drops it. They don't like to fight them. Apparently, they just like to file them.
Yeah, I remember back in the day when everyone was on MySpace and no one really cared. You had all the music playing on your page and stuff, and I don't know how we got here in terms of like everyone just being in everyone's business for some reason, but it's really annoying to the point to where like I limit my social media to like 20 minutes a day. Like I'm not even on my phone because there's nothing there that's gonna say, oh, that's cool, because everything there is kind of is designed to make you just get upset. And I'm like, I don't have time for this. I got a show that I'm getting ready for. I got books to do. I got deadlines to meet. Just take my advice. Just stay off Twitter. Just stay off.
So do you feel better and more productive since you got off of Twitter as much as you were on before?
I do feel more productive. Because breaking away from the phone is hard, because I find myself wanting to pick up the phone and look at the weather, and then I find myself clicking on Twitter, and I'm like, why am I here? I didn't click on it. But ever since I did get banned, it has been a little bit better. My only problem is that I made a lot of really good connections with people on my old account. And I kind of miss talking to those people. Like very few people that are on, like not even a fraction of the people that I had on my old account follow me on my new account. And it's fine, but we get along too. We all talk, they know who I am, but it's not the same. And I was watching what was that show? Forged in Fire on History Channel. And one of the guys there acted like one of the people I used to interact on Twitter, and I didn't know who it was because I never interacted with this person face to face. So I had a hard time trying to put my finger on it. And then I was like, oh shit, that's Danny. I know Danny, but now I can't find his account, so I don't know if he's on Twitter anymore either. So like social media is a good tool when it comes to building those connections with people and, finding like-minded people who you just want to talk to, not necessarily, argue with. I know people just get on Twitter to piss the other people off. That's basically what it is. But it's always nice when you find that one person who likes to talk and, and you start up a nice community conversation. So, yeah, it sucks, but Twitter was not what it used to be 10 years ago for sure.
Well, what is online or in comics or anything else for that matter.
Everything is just
something happened in the last 10 years that just killed fun. Fun got killed.
Yeah, it got killed, but it's fun because you're seeing this repercussions of all that stuff as people are starting to push back. If either you give us something that we want to watch and enjoy, or you don't, and it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to watch it. So like the whole debacle over the Lord of the Rings thing, like,
oh yeah, I can't wait to see the ratings on that. See if it defies the previews of it, because.
Yeah, it would have been one thing if the writers didn't come out and say what they were gonna do and just did what they were gonna do, but they had their meaning behind what they were trying to do, and so
we're gonna call it Lord of the Rings. We're gonna use characters from the book, but it's based on nothing.
Right. So I'm like, good luck to you guys. I mean, I'm probably not gonna watch it, to be honest, because you suck the creativity out of everything. So
I don't watch anything on Amazon Prime anyway. I don't have the account. I've got my Netflix and I've got my HBO Max, And I've only got that because HBO Max comes free with my cable subscription. So
I watch House on Amazon Prime. I
yeah,
still watch House. That's the only good show that was on. I was watching Star Trek Voyager, and they moved that over to Paramount Plus, and I'm like, well, I'm not buying another subscription, so there goes that ship, unfortunately. So, oh well.
somebody needs to come up with like an a la carte streaming service, or like, what show do you want to watch? And it's like, okay, well, that one's on Netflix. We're going to port over to Netflix and pull it in and pay Netflix a fee for you to watch it on our portal here. And, oh, you want to watch something for Paramount? Okay, we're going to give them a micro payment to bring over just that show since you're not a monthly subscriber.
You might have just did something there. You might have just come up with a pretty nifty idea there.
Somebody who's tech savvy, get out there and do that. Just
yeah, I would love that. Like, I mean, Netflix comes and goes. I don't know why they take off shows, they put new shows on, and then before you realize, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go watch, I don't know, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and then you get on there, look for it, and it's gone, and you're like, well, when did that happen? It's just leave the damn shows on there. It's like they're renting shows for like X amount of months, and then after that, it's gone. And I'm like,
well, they probably do. They license it, sort of like just like the theater did.
Yeah, and I don't know. Netflix was once a cool place too, but I find myself just kind of scrolling through what they have to offer. Honestly, all I'm waiting for now is Stranger Things 4, and I'm kind of looking forward to it. I don't know, but
kind of sort of.
Yeah.
I watched the first episode and I've just not gone back.
Really?
Yeah. No real explanation for it. I mean, I watched the first season of Lock and Key and I haven't gone back for season 2 yet either.
I actually liked Lock and Key. Lock and Key was really something new.
Yeah.
And then season 2, I was waiting for season 2 because season 1 ended on like a really big cliffhanger. So when season 2 came, I was like, oh, this isn't bad. And I kind of watched it in the weekend. And then Lost in Space, the remake, that was good. That's over.
I've got to watch that one.
Yeah, that one was good. It was a twist. Like it's just a different twist on everything, and you can kind of go in and pick apart all the wokeness that's in there. But the thing that I like about the show is that they focus on the story instead of being politically correct, and I like that. So
yeah,
like, I don't really care about
watched,
the characters.
Several episodes of the first season, and I just didn't get into it because I think it was like, okay, it's Lost in Space, but there's a whole bunch of them there. There's like an entire colony of people.
Like a whole colony of people there. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I know they were trying to be woke, but I think they kind of looked and said we should give them a story. Like, for example, Judy. I mean, clearly this isn't Dr. Robinson's daughter because she's clearly half black. And I'm the only one sitting here like, dude, she's not your kid. Like, I don't know what they did with casting. I don't know if that was a diversity thing, but this girl is not your kid. And then they finally went into it. Yeah, that's not her real father. Her father was actually killed in space, and this dude took her in. And I'm like, okay, I'm so glad they explained that because that didn't make any sense for like the first half of season 1, and then they explained it. So kudos to them because I had questions.
There was a cuckoo clock going off somewhere.
Yeah, like I don't think that's your kid, but you know what? I'm just here to watch. We'll see what happens. And good thing they kind of went into details and then explained that. Yeah,
I've been binging Chuck on HBO Max lately.
Really?
I forgot how good that was.
I haven't watched Chuck. I remember that was on TV a while ago, and I used to watch that before. I think it was Heroes. Heroes used to come on after that or something like that.
Yeah, back in the day.
Right, that was back in the day. Oh shit, my sketchbook 340, man. What's going on, my guy?
Yeah, we got people in the chat popping in and saying hi.
Yeah, he named one of my creatures in my Ultima the Legend Untold, and I gave him a shout out for that. So, hey man, you can follow me at my new handle at Topic Thunder PDC. I'm back on Twitter. Just don't tell anybody because the Twitter admins are looking for me.
I'm going to put that link out there in the chat so people can just copy and paste it over to Twitter and find you there.
Yeah, there I am.
So you talked about reviewing the new Attack on Titan season 4. What do you guys talk about on your podcast? What is the topic that you thunder about?
I like that. I'm about to use that in an episode one day. We talk about various topics, actually, like things that we feel as though we like. We kind of figured that there's going to be a handful of people out there who like the same thing. So we actually got started with the podcast because my co-host Jay Straight, his wife told him, hey, you need to get into a hobby. And he's like, I don't know what I need to do. And she suggested, he has a YouTube channel. Why don't you ask him to do a podcast? And I've been looking for a co-host. So we decided to start talking about just random topics throughout, every week, from movies to video games to culture to comics. We try to stay off of politics, but sometimes that doesn't work because the topic we're talking about somehow intertwines with politics. But
well, yeah, because politics takes over the thing that you liked.
Exactly. That's my whole point of pointing it out. But he doesn't like it as much, and I apologize to him after every show. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go in that deep. But funny enough, though, our conspiracy theory and our ghost video TikTok, Ghosts of TikToks, and our ghost story podcasts are kind of like our most popular things. So I think we have an audience there of people who just like the weird and unexplained like we do.
It's really a niche thing. I find out that the things that, I learned this a long time ago with the website that we did, because we did movie reviews and such. And I was like, oh man, I got advanced review of the newest Harry Potter film. Millions of people are going to be interested in this. And I'll write the review and I'll get 200 hits. Because guess what? Time Magazine and Newsweek and the New York Times and everybody else is writing about that. Mm-hmm. But then I'll get this little indie film that, some up and coming actresses in, and nobody knows much about it except for 15,000 of her fans.
Yeah.
And all 15,000 of them will come see your review because small film is big readership.
Yeah. And a lot of that has to do with, I see a lot of people kind of flocking away from mainstream stuff anyway and going indie as well. And I see a lot of indie films that are starting to pop up, and people are actually going to go check that out instead of, whatever movie is hitting the theaters. I mean, the last movie I saw was Spider-Man No Way Home, and I think that's probably the last Marvel movie I'm going to watch because I'm not really overly excited.
I liked it, but I'm waiting for the Batman, and then we'll see after that. But I'm not too excited.
I'm not overly excited about Batman. I mean, I've seen every Batman from Tim Burton's Batman up until Dark Knight Rises, and I'm like, I'm kind of over Batman.
Yeah,
kind of over Batman, but
I'm still certain that they took Ben Affleck out of it because not well, first of all, I finally watched the Zack Snyder cut,
that was
and I
liked it.
Guess what? There was an actual story when you watched that one. It's 4.5 hours long, but you could tell what was going on.
I didn't know what Joss Whedon was doing with his cut because you see, the guy who did the Avengers is doing the rest of the Justice League. You're like, this is dope, and then you get in there and you're like, what the fuck's going on? What is this movie? I'm so confused.
Yeah. He's trying to make it not compete with the Avengers, I think.
I think so too.
But I liked the way that Affleck moved and looked in that costume because everyone from Keaton all the way up to who's the guy who was in Real Genius and all those other, I can't remember his name now. Kilmer. No, not Kilmer. Who was in The Dark Knight Rises? I get
Christian
all the
Bale.
Yeah, Christian Bale. They all were like, I'm in this, bodysuit armor. I can't really turn. Affleck was like in this flexible thing. He was leaping onto the sides of buildings and diving around chimneys. I'm like, yeah, that's Batman. That's how he would move and flow. And now we're back to this, it looks like he's going to be in kind of an armor thing again that doesn't move quite as well.
Yeah, and he doesn't have the chin strap. It's like when they took the chin strap off the Flash. And I'm like, man, you just look like a bicyclist without a bike now. That's what you do. So it looks really, really weird. But going back to our podcast.
And sucks.
My sketchbook, I am on Rumble. I don't use it as much. And yeah, I'm still on YouTube for now. We don't know how long that's going to last. But hey, it is what it is. But going back to our podcast, we decided our first episode was going to be Attack on Titan because my co-host started watching Attack on Titan. And this guy has never watched an anime before in his life at all. Ooh. And we're at home and we're just like chilling out. And he goes, have you guys watched Attack on Titan? And I dropped my phone. I go, what did you just say? He goes, yeah, this show is really awesome. I go, wait, when did you start watching anime? So like right off the bat, he's watching it and he's like over the hills for it. So then I started watching it and I get sucked in. And it's one of those shows that they talk about, a lot of the stuff like racism and war and hatred and all this stuff. But the way that manga and anime does their thing is that they make those things very subtle until the last minute when you go, oh, that's what that's about.
Yeah.
versus Western media that just kind of throws it in your face in the first 5 minutes, and then you're just like, well, I don't want to watch this. So I'm so obsessed with Attack on Titan. Even though I finished reading the manga like at least 12 times. I read the manga all the way through 12 times, and I loved it.
Wow.
I've watched the anime up until season 4, before season 4 part 2 started, 3 times.
Is it faithful?
Yeah. Well, there's a thing going around about it being this whole theory about a time loop where the manga and the anime are in 2 different timelines that ended with the manga and then restarted with the anime. And I didn't really look at it at first, but when I read the manga again and then started watching the anime again, there were little subtle differences that would suggest that the anime where it's at now is trying to resolve the time loop that happened in the manga. So it's the creator, I don't know if he did that on purpose and decided, hey, this is what we're going to do, or if it was just something that was more feasible for the animators to do instead of drawing it up. But the changes are subtle.
If the end of season 4 leads you into the beginning of the manga, he's genius.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like now they're saying that there's some type of anime date going on in the middle of March, and there's supposed to be an announcement for Attack on Titan, but this is supposed to be it. This is supposed to be the end of the line here. Once season 4 is over, that's it. So a lot of people are starting to wonder, like, they're going to make a movie, and that's going to be the end of the time loop there. And I'm like, dude, guys, shut up for a second. Let me just try and wrap my head around what is actually going on. So it's I'm watching it. So far, it has lived up. It's like very shot for shot, but the changes there are subtle. And I know what the changes are because I read the manga like 12 times. So I know exactly like what's changed and what's not. So there we go.
Yeah. You can't speak Japanese yet, my sketchbook, because...
Nani shiteru no ka?
I can't speak Japanese, but I can move my lips differently than the syllables that come out. So I'm getting there.
That's how that works.
I started watching anime recently, like within the last 6 months. Granted, I've watched anime. I've watched Speed Racer. I watched Battle of the Planets. I've Ultraman, Johnny Sacco. I've seen the stuff, but I didn't really get into like like real anime. So I sat down and I watched Death Note.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is cool. It's a third of a season longer than it was supposed to have been. I think it's like you stop right here, everything's perfect. If you go further, like no, you're ruining it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of overstayed its welcome because I thought I was told that was like 50 episodes, and then I look into it, it's like damn near 60, and I'm like, I don't know what you're doing after those 50 episodes, but
it's like once L comes into the picture, I'm like, oh no, it's a new detective trying to find him. No, just should have just stopped.
And just to tell you how horrible we are at adaptations, just don't watch the Netflix movie. Just don't do it.
Oh my God, I did because I wanted to see how bad it was, and it did not disappoint.
The only good thing about that movie was William Dafoe's Ryuk. That was the only good thing, and I wish Ryuk had more screen time than what he did. But the only reason I watched that movie was to see Ryuk. Everything else, nah. It's like Dragon Ball Evolution. Like don't watch it. Just let that ship sail.
So what animes should I watch? Because I've watched the Death Note, I've watched the first season of Sword Art Online.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one. I thought that was a very Matrix-like film.
Yeah, it's actually really good. I've never really finished watching it. I watched the dub. Now, everybody's introduction to anime is probably Toonami. I came home from school and watched Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, Gundam Wing on Toonami. And that was the dub. But if you're really looking to kind of get into it, you have your staples, your Bleach, your Naruto, your Dragon Ball Z, of course. And then there's like the off-brands like Full Metal Alchemist. Attack on Titan is a good one. Assassination Classroom, that's another good one. And those are the ones that I watch. Now, I like Naruto. It's just I hate how they do their fillers. You actually have to read the fillers. You got to read the manga to know when the fillers take place because you won't know when there's fillers. And that's what I hate about Naruto. I hate that so much about Naruto. and there's over 700 episodes in the anime. And sometimes you don't know when the filler's starting and when the filler's ending. Sometimes the filler will happen and it's like a single episode, and then the next filler is like 20 or 30 episodes, and you don't know. So that's why you got to know where the arcs are that pertains to the main story. So Naruto's notorious for that.
I've heard there's this anime out here called hentai, and I'm kind of looking for that because I've never seen it before. So
have fun with that.
Do you like mechs? Well,
I do actually.
Yeah.
I actually
Voltron?
like Voltron. I actually I do a lot of 3D printing. So if you go on my YouTube channel, I do a lot of videos of 3D printing, and I got my hands on some resin printers. There's a website called Techo Toys, and you can literally build action figures with little mechs or like mech suits or like a whole mech that you can put together and play with. And it's so cool. They're fully articulated and stuff. I love this stuff. So I'm building a set for my nephew. And it's just like I can build my own toys at home, and it's fully weaponized mech suits. To where you got your guns, you got your add-ons, you can add them onto the figure, or it's like Power Rangers where you can put the little figure inside the cockpit of the mech and have them drive it around. So dope. So I'm slowly getting into mechs these days.
The engineering behind that stuff just boggles my mind. I can't imagine how people, when I first saw Transformers as a kid, I'm like, how did they figure out to unfold this car and now it's a robot?
With Japanese people, man, they thought about this years ago. It's just the technology wasn't there yet.
Yeah, they started with origami.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I wonder what this would be like as a truck, and then they can turn into a robot. We should try this, but we lack the technology. We don't have plastic over here.
It was just it boggled my head. But yeah, I'm not gonna try to dig it out right now. One of my favorites as a kid was Johnny Sacco and his flying robot. Not an anime, of course. It was a live action show, but it was my earliest introduction to the Japan fantasy worlds. So I had that, and I had and the original Ultraman. They came on back to back on UHF when I was a kid. If the weather was right and you could get the antennas to stick up just correct, you could tune that one in. And it scared me too. That giant vampire episode was kept me up at night when I was only 6 watching this stuff. So
well, a lot of my introduction to anime was probably Power Rangers, because I'm watching it as a kid and I'm seeing if you didn't know, they take the Japanese Sentai footage and they just dub over it for all the action scenes. And I noticed it as a kid. I'm like, why are the suits looking better in this one scene? Why is that a thing? And then I finally realized that, it's a Japanese Sentai when I was 13 or 14.
Oh yeah.
So then naturally you go ahead and you just start watching the Japanese Sentai instead. So then American Power Rangers just kind of goes down for you. That's what happened to me. I'm just I can't watch the American. I can watch the old Saban Power Rangers up until a certain point, but I can't watch the new stuff, like the Dino Night Fury thing that they got going on Nickelodeon. You can't do it.
That's when you recall fondly Battle of the Planets, so you get it on DVD and you get Gotchaman and you're like, where's Seven Zark 7 at? He's not on this thing. And then Princess steps out of the shower and you're like, that wasn't on TV.
Yeah, that's another thing that when you watch the Japanese version of Power Rangers, is the story is so much indulging. And if you're really into besides some anime, but the Tokatsu, if you watch that, you just want to watch that because the story is so engaging. So you got to understand that in the Japanese Sentai, you're looking at a whole year of episodes. You're talking anywhere from between 45 to 50 episodes in a year of one iteration. Wow. So when they come over here, they take those 50 episodes and somehow compress them down into 8 or 9, and you're like, well, what are you doing? You can't do that. You're compressing all that story that usually we would adapt over here as the main story. But I don't know. It blows my mind that you take 52 episodes from Japan and write only 8 or 9 of those episodes into one story. So I don't know.
That might be why I thought the Japanese storylines jumped a lot when I was watching them as a kid, because they were jumping.
Probably.
They were getting stuff cut out.
Probably.
I do recall, the Gojira and the Godzilla films. I've got the DVD that has both the original Gojira, and then you watch it again with Raymond Burr scenes interspersed into it to make it Godzilla.
Wait, when you say Gojira, you're talking about the 1999 Godzilla movie that was.
No. Gojira was the original Godzilla film.
Oh, because they
and-
referenced it in that movie, and I'm like, they named it Zilla actually, because the creator of Godzilla was like, "This isn't Godzilla. How dare you use his name?"
Gojira was the original film, and then when America bought the rights to make it in Hollywood, all they did was dub it and throw in scenes with Raymond Burr as an American character in between the scenes. And once you see the two back to back, it's real obvious how it was spliced all together and made into a kind of a different story too.
Right. And that makes perfect sense too. I don't know what's going on with our entertainment industry here. Everything is just so. I don't want to watch anything. I just watch YouTube all day. That's my life. I don't even watch live TV anymore.
There's plenty on YouTube to watch. You can set up a queue, and it'll just keep feeding stuff at you.
Oh, for sure. And that's what I mostly find myself doing, either for like background noise or just if I'm looking for a certain creator who just recently released a video, and that's it. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. I used to like primetime TV. Don't like it anymore.
I haven't watched primetime TV in a couple of years now. Longer than that. I mean, even when I had primetime TV in the house, I was never watching it. I was always watching YouTube channels or DVDs that came in. I throw them in my laptop. But you're doing more than just the podcasting and watching this, because you are also creating comics. You have your website here.
I have been creating comics for the last, oh my God, how long has it been? Almost 10 years now, maybe more than that. I originally started off as a writer, and I wrote my first book series, the Xenton Chronicles. So if you want to scroll down there, these were my first 4 books. Keep it moving.
Rolling.
Right here. These are my first 4 books that I wrote, and I wrote those back in 2007 to about 2012. And I released them, and then I thought that was it. But a lot of people, they love the stories of Xenton, and they're heroic. So I started writing more, and I started developing more characters and stuff like that. And I started just writing, like I have so many books that I've written and so many comic books that I've done that I just haven't released anything because it's sometimes I didn't feel adequate about the story. Sometimes I wasn't really 100% about the characters. Sometimes the rewrites are just kind of happening. So when I teamed up with my co-host Jay Strait, we decided to start doing Comic-Cons, going around selling not only 3D prints, but then I also thought about why don't I just start releasing some of the things that I've done that are finished, but I haven't released. So I started working on the Super 6, which I started in 2017, and then I shelved that because I wasn't too overly happy with the ending there. And this is kind of like a culmination of a few heroes that I've created who have their own stories within my own kind of universe. And I have to say universe, but remember that I came up with this before Marvel was, in the MCU and stuff like that. So just keep in mind that I created the whole shared universe. That was me. So I decided to kind of go with the Super 6, and I originally was going to do a Kickstarter to kind of raise the funds, but then I just decided, hey, why don't I just get these into print and then just sell them at the show? So this book is already finished. Part 1 is already finished, so I'll be selling it at the show along with some pre-orders. Ultima, The Legend Untold is my latest project, and it's kind of like a manga-styled adventure that I wanted to kind of break into. And this is something that ties into the Xenton Chronicles. So if you're going to read the Xenton Chronicles, don't read them if you're looking to see what happens in this story, because it's a huge spoiler per se. But I did this during COVID when we were all locked down. I started drawing this back in March of 2020, and I finished the first volume as of January of this year. And that consisted of 12 chapters, over 200 and something pages. So this is actually going to be a Kickstarter where it's going to go into print and people can get their hands on it at the show. I wouldn't say that, not at the show. You'll be able to pledge or back the campaign at the show. That's when it's going to jump off. But there's still a lot of work to do with this in terms of getting it into print with all the extra content that I have for it and all that fun stuff. But
you have a launch date in mind?
The Comic-Con is from January 17th through the 19th. So that crowdfund is going to go live June 17th. So you can actually read this right now on my website for free, all the entire first volume for free. And if you do, let me know how you like it. But the print version of this is going to have a bit more of content in it. So you'll be getting a little bit more than what is offered on the website.
All right. Sketchbook, good to see you here. Understand you got to go. We'll catch y'all later. Keeping it geekly. Thank you so much for all the references we've been getting on Twitter from you lately.
Thank
you. To interact there. And yeah, really dig. I like the designs too. I'm a sucker for, silhouette pose teams because like, oh, who are these people? Can't wait to see what the designs really look like,
Mm-hmm. And you'll be getting a sample of the first 10 pages of the Super 6 pretty soon. I'm actually, thank God that I have a guy who works in printing out here where I'm at, and he kind of saved me on shipping costs. He was like, hey, man, just come over here and print it, and that way you can just come pick it up, because shipping sometimes it's a pain in the ass. So I'm like, yeah, that's actually a great idea. So
it absolutely is. Are you doing your own artwork, or are you paying somebody else to do it? Or
I did all the artwork for Ultima, the Legend Untold, but for the Super 6, I ended up outsourcing my buddy over in the Philippines. He only did the inks. I would do the drafts, and he would do the inks and then send the inks over to me, and I would do all the colors and all the lettering and stuff like that. So it's kind of a joint effort there, as well as me. I did all the writing for it on my own. So yeah, this Super 6 is a shared thing. He did all the cover art and all the character designs and everything. He's just an amazing artist. His name is Rano Delio Reyes over in the Philippines. He does really great work. I love his style. So if I need to take some of the load off of the workload, I normally just source it to him, and he's really quick. He has a quick turnaround time, like maybe about a day or two, and he's very fun to work with. Cool guy. I love him.
All right. So is any of this order? Can this be ordered off the website? Any of the stuff that's completed?
Yes, actually. So if you look at the Xenton Chronicle books, where you go to learn more, it'll take you to their page, and you can actually go right ahead and purchase them off Amazon. So all of these are on Kindle. You can go right now and buy them on Kindle. The first book is free. All the other ones, obviously, you have to pay for it. It's no more than like $4 or something like that.
First hit's free, guys.
Yeah, first hit's free. If you like it, let me know. You guys can go and read all the books on the Kindle, and they're on Kindle Unlimited. If you don't know what that is, it's kind of like you pay like a monthly fee, and you can read as many books as you want every month. And there you go. So
now is Kindle Unlimited what they moved Comixology to? Because everyone's kind of complaining about Comixology lately, having gone through.
Yeah. So because I'm currently reading all the Spawn right now, and I didn't know that it was involved with my Kindle Unlimited. So I'm reading all the Todd McFarlane's Spawn comics, and it's kind of cool. But I know a lot of people like Comixology before, so not really sure like where I fit in on that, because I'm enjoying like reading Spawn comics for like all of his work for like $10 a month. I have no problem with that.
Absolutely. I prefer paper copies myself, but yeah.
Oh, most definitely. But I mean, I looked at just trying to get all the volumes, and they're looking like $40-$50 for like volume 1 and 2. I mean, I would love to have those on my shelf, but
it at some point it becomes just an expensive decoration.
Yeah.
Say, look at my bookshelf. No, I haven't read that book in 20 years, but it's there. Doesn't it look pretty?
Yeah, I have a lot of like I have the Darkest Night, all of the Green Lantern Corps Darkest Night story on my shelf. I read all that once. I've never looked back.
I loved it until I thought about it.
Yeah,
and I did an article on the whole thing, because it was like when they did the Brightest Day at the end of that, and suddenly X number of people who've been dead are alive again. I was like, well, let's think about this, because this is the DC universe, the singular one, not the multiples that are out there. It's like, we've been to hell in the DC universe. We know it's a real place because there's the Demon, and there's Neron, and Swamp Thing's gone there, and we know there's a real heaven because Zoriel was a Justice League member, and Alec Holland was there, and the Phantom Stranger walks around there sometimes. So these villains are back to life, and not a single one of them says, "Oh my God, please don't send me back where I was." But instead, immediately start fighting the good guys like villains again.
I was not I read DC for a little while. Like I read a little bit of the new Flash and the new 52, and then they did the Rebirth when they introduced Godspeed, and I'm like, oh shit, a new speedster who's like kicking Barry's ass. And like I don't, they did it too soon. Like then they reboot the DC Rebirth universe. Didn't they do that?
Yeah. Well, they kind of just tore it apart. Yeah. Wally West is back. Oh my God, he's a mass murderer.
Like I don't even know where they're going with it anymore. So I used to buy.
That's the problem.
Yeah, like I used to buy a ton of comics. Like every month, I would go and get Superman, and then I would go and get the Flash, and then someone from Marvels. I would get Miles Morales Spider-Man. I would get the Amazing Spider. I would get all these comics, and then after a while, like the writing just got bleh. So literally, the only thing that I pick up is King Spawn, which is fucking amazing. Oh my God. King Spawn is so dope. I love that. Of course, Power Rangers and Mighty Morphin from Boom Studios. That story is still pretty good. And then I started reading Static because DC did the whole milestone returns. Yeah. Don't waste your money on that, guys. Just
okay.
I'm sorry that they did that to Virgil. Like I'm just like, oh my God, why? He was fine the way he was, and then they just took him and they just turned him inside out and just here's Static, and it's like, oh.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. This isn't what it is. But I told my people that I was going to read all 6 issues. And I don't know what they're doing because originally it was supposed to be a digital release. And then because I think DC knew that they weren't going to make any money on these prints. Like, there's no fucking way. So they were like, this is all the milestone return stuff is going to be a digital release. And there was a lot of hype behind it. And then the preview came out. And I did a whole Twitter thread back on my old account about like all the stuff like that was wrong with the preview. And there were some good things and there were some bad things. Mostly the good things was from the art. The art looked great. The story about the whole Black Lives Matter and the police shooting them with the Bang Baby juice and all of them got powers. And I'm like, that's not what happened. Like the original Milestone comics, and I'm going on a rant here because this makes me so mad.
And I love the original Milestones.
Right. Dwayne McDuffie understood, and I'm going to get political for just a second, but just bear with me. Dwayne McDuffie understood the issues that plagued like the Black community, which was mostly gang violence. And so you have Virgil, who's directly involved with gang violence because that's his entire neighborhood, and ends up becoming a superhero with these superpowers, and he ends up becoming a superhero. Like that's Virgil. He's a complete superhero nerd. They wanted to make it more political with the new Milestones reboot, and it didn't make any sense because this isn't Virgil. Virgil is not just going to use his powers in school to beat up a bully. He's not going to do that. That's so out of character for Virgil. So it's like you're hiring these writers. You're not honoring the original Dwayne McDuffie content or his books, which, you can go online and read them for free. I think they're on the Kindle Unlimited and get an idea of what Virgil is. Or you can just fucking go on to HBO Max and watch the original Static Shock show. You can just do that and get a feel for what kind of person Virgil Hawkins is. But none of them did that. So now you got this kid who is more of an activist than he is a superhero. And it's not tasting right in my mouth right now. You have this great, awesome person. Static Shock is a fan favorite among tons of people. People love Static. White, black, purple, green, Asian, Latino. Doesn't matter who you are. You watch Static Shock on Kids WB every Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. Everyone did that. So, this is where it's at. So, Michael Bendis naming his character Naomi after McDuffie. Now she has a TV show. It's just a lip service. Yeah, I don't know who that is. I saw the CW trailer for Naomi and I called it. I was like, the first episode is probably going to be great. And then after that is downhill. And that's exactly what happened.
Well,
I think
Naomi's a new member of the Justice League. She's more Justice League-ier than any of the Justice League members. She's perfect in every way, practically, like Mary Poppins. Super smart, loves the science. And is just looked up to immediately by all the Justice Leaguers because she's just
it kind of reminds me of who's that chick, Riri Williams, Ironheart. Yeah, same thing. Also
created by Brian Michael Bendis. He goes to different companies and creates the same character.
Well, I don't know, like, okay, Brian Michael Bendis did a great job with Miles Morales. Like, in the first initial run, when Miles showed up in Ultimate Fallout number 4, everyone was like, oh shit, new Spider-Man, he's black. But no one was really focused on him being black. Because when Ultimate Spider-Man Miles Morales number 1 dropped, it was a completely different feel because he had a story, he had stakes, he had he's this fucking 12-year-old kid who's now Spider-Man after Peter Parker was killed by the Sinister Six, and his story was great. Brian Michael Bendis did a great job with the initial first few runs of Miles Morales Spider-Man, and then he left Miles Morales in the hands of Marvel, and they hired these other people, and I'm not kidding you, dude, they traded out my boy's Spider-Man suit for a goddamn tracksuit and a mask. Well, what are you doing? I saw the cover of his latest issue, and my dude is in a tracksuit and he's wearing some trash ass mask. I'm like, what? Who drew this? Why would you do that to Miles? So I stopped buying Miles Morales because, first of all, I was not invested in the story. I had no idea where he was going. I didn't like his suit, and I didn't know what was happening at all, period. But if I go back and I read Miles Morales number 1, when he first got bitten by that spider as a little 11, 12-year-old boy, and read all the way up through Secret Wars, that was Miles Morales prime right there. From issue number 1 up through Secret Wars. Solid. Can do it. After that, it gets iffy, and then after Brian Michael Bendis leaves, gone. I don't like it. I can't do it.
Yeah, he did create both Riri and Naomi so that his 2 adopted daughters would see representation in DC and Marvel.
You could have just gave him a Static Shock book. I mean, you could have just did that. Like, I don't really understand any of this.
Yeah, and people talk a lot about I hate the politics in comics. I don't hate politics in comics. Never have hated politics in comics. I hate being sledgehammered with a message.
Right.
But one of my favorite comic books from the Milestone universe was very political, and that was Icon.
Icon was very, oh yeah.
He was a conservative. He's this black man conservative, and you're like, oh, this is not going to fly well with the readership. But then here's Rocket, who's very street smart and liberal, and you're thinking, okay, well, she's going to show him how he's wrong in everything, and she doesn't. She shows him a little bit where he changes, and he shows her a little bit where she changes. And I'm like, yeah, that's what made Green Lantern, Green Arrow work so well as a
Are
team.
we talking about the Rocket and Icon reboot, the Returns?
No, the original.
Oh, the original. Yeah, okay, the original. Because I read the Rocket and Icon Returns, and like I'm reading the preview with Icon, and I'm like, I like what this guy's saying. And then Rocket pops out of nowhere. She was like, yeah, we got to go help with the Black Lives Matter rally. And Icon's like, the who and the what now? What is this? And I'm like, oh, that's kind of clever that, they were able to, keep those personalities. And I'm like, if you can do this with Rocket and Icon, why couldn't you do this with Virgil? Like, you're there. But I don't know. I never read the Rocket and Icon books from the Returns run. So I don't know what they've done. Actually, I can't even find them. I don't even know if they released them in print, to be honest. Maybe.
They should release a milestone. Well, I think they were releasing a Milestone omnibus, but the paper shortage has caused them to have late books, just like all the independent guys are having.
Is that what that is? Is that why the book? Because I'm Miles. I mean, Static started last summer, and they just released issue 5, and was it 2 weeks ago?
They're behind on everything, and I think they're having the same issues that indie people are having, which is a paper shortage. Apparently, we quit growing trees because
Greta Thunberg over there. How dare you?
I'm like, look, just go clear cut California. We'll have plenty of paper, and they won't have any more wildfires, and everybody be happy.
That would be ideal. I mean, but it's all. I tell people like, why isn't so and so in government doing this? I go, all you have to do is follow the money and figure out who's getting paid. You figure out who's getting paid, you figure out why these people aren't doing the most obvious thing to kind of solve some of these problems.
Yeah, because somebody's making money off of it.
If somebody's making money somewhere off of it, follow the money, and whoever's getting paid, that's your answer as to why this very easy poisonous water in Flint, Michigan isn't getting solved. Simple.
Still, after like half a decade.
Yeah, you guys have Beyonce over there singing songs, and Jay-Z was there, and all these people were there. And they still don't have clean water. So
there was a hashtag, Will. Twitter put out a hashtag, and it's still a problem. How does that happen?
And then the lady at the grocery store, would you like to donate to fight childhood hunger? I'm like, bitch, I've been fighting hunger since '94. We haven't won yet? How many times do you have to do this? someone's getting paid somewhere, because if we can give out a vaccine to the entire world for free, then somehow I just think that we can figure out this whole world hunger problem. I think we can do it. I think we can do it. But
all right, we'll wrapping up here just a little bit. I want to bring attention to a little bit to tomorrow night's show.
For sure.
We're going to do something different that we've never done before. I'm not sure how I'm going to work it. I'm going to do my very level, honest best to keep it on the up and up. Tomorrow is 2/22/22, and it is National Comic Book for Kids.org Day. Comicbookforkids.org or cb4k.org, you can go to either one, is an institution that delivers comic books by the thousands to hospitals and cancer centers for kids who are stuck in bed. They need something to read. He's got an offshoot of this also, that's comic books for the troops, because guess what? A lot of people donate comic books that you can't just give to the kids. What's he going to do with them?
Right.
He's been at this for 8 years now, I want to say. And tomorrow is the first that they've ever done a National Comic Book for Kids Day. We are going to be doing a charity auction on the website here because he has the books donated to him from different publishers. Like, yeah, we got these stock overruns. You're welcome to them. He's got to pay to have them shipped by the pallet. And then guess what? To get him to the hospital, he's got to pay to have them shipped again. And we both know shipping costs money. So that's where the money goes for donations, that unless you want to donate your books. So we're going to have Keith Gleason on tomorrow, Brian Christgau, and Chris Tomolovich is going to be here. We're going to be auctioning off some art. We're also going to have Nita Lanning and Daphne Lage join us. They just jumped in right before the show here. Try to raise some money for this thing, and I'm going to be auctioneering and collecting the money, and then I'll just say, look, here's screenshot my PayPal to their PayPal. The money went. I've never run a charity auction before, so I'll just be happy if people show up and watch.
Sounds good, man. That sounds like a lot of fun. What time is it going to be at?
It will be at 8:00 Eastern tomorrow.
Okay.
So be glad to see you in the chat, or if you want to jump on and be part of the panel, that too, man.
I will do my best. I got a new squishy baby, so I was able to put her down. Thank you. Almost 2 months old, so I was able to put her down before I was able to do the live stream. So I heard her wake up during the show, but her mom got her. So I would definitely do my best. If not, I'll be able to blast that out on my Twitter and all of my social media accounts. You might get some people to come in and help you out. And I'd love to try and come in and view while I am feeding my new squishy baby. That would be fun. Be a lot
Please
of fun,
do that.
actually.
Yeah, get her started on comics early, man.
Oh, already I have her little baby bounce. I don't know if you can see it right here, but whenever I'm working, I put her in there, and she just hangs out with me while I'm sitting here doing my drawings and stuff like that. So she enjoys it. She doesn't. She just sits there and looks at me, and I'm surprised at 2 months she's able to, track and see what I'm doing. So.
Oh yeah, they're little sponges in that head.
Oh yeah,
just soaking everything up.
She knows exactly what's going on. So, yeah, man, I would definitely do that and blast it out to everyone that I know and see if we can get these kids in these hospitals some comic books. That'll be fun.
Greatly appreciate it, man. And man, I'm glad I found you again. I'm gonna have to. I'll start following you closer on Twitter. I thought you were gone.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm actually still trying to contest my old account, but Twitter's not letting up. They're not going to do it. I've heard some people who've gotten kicked off Twitter and they logged into their old account and somehow they were reinstated. So I don't know. It could happen to me. I'm not really, begging for it. But hey, guys, if you ever follow me on my old account, I'm at Topic Thunder PDC. Come hang out and tell everybody else. I know we were all part of the same circle too. We all follow pretty much the same group of people. So if you guys can, let them know where I'm at and tell them to come hang out and follow me on Twitter. I like to get back some of my old peeps because we had a lot of fun on Twitter. Lots of fun.
All right. Well, Will, thank you for coming on the show tonight and talking about your podcast and the comic books that you're making and just, discussion in general about pop culture. If you ever want to come back on, please just shoot me a DM and we'll get you in here. It's funny. I was looking at all these podcasts on Twitter the last 2 days, like, hey, can you get me on in the next couple of days? They're like, oh, we're booked through August, or we're through the. I'm like, I'm lucky to have next week booked.
Right? Yeah. It was something Wednesday. I forget this guy's name. Weekend Wednesday. I have an interview with him in late March, and I had to schedule it because all of February and all of like half of March was already booked. I'm like, when I did my show, like I would work and then I would come home and get ready for an interview, and it was like 3 times a week. It was exhausting. Like
Yeah.
I was sitting back in my head. I was like, I hope this guy cancels because I've been at work all day and I'm tired. I just kind of want to go home and relax. But I ended up doing it, and it was 3 to 4 interviews a week, and I'm not even talking about editing time. And these guys are like, "Yeah, my Kickstarter ends in 3 days. Can you get this up a bit sooner?" And I'm like, "Yes, of course I can." So
Okay.
yeah, I bit off a little bit more than I can chew, but I do have my Indie Choice Pick show back up and running, so I'm doing that very seldomly. So one interview here, one there, every so often. So I'm getting back in the swing of that too. So if anybody come at you and they want to do an interview and you don't have room, send them my way. I'll get them on the show and we'll do some talking. That'll be fun.
Absolutely. And we got the link on the Twitter here, folks. Hit the link, do the
There I
follow
am.
thing. Then you can DM him and ask for show appointments. So get out there and get to it.
I will be
Thank
there.
you so much for coming on the show. Everybody in the chat, appreciate you being here. We don't have a show without you. And as always, while you were here, we just hope you had a blast. Good night, everybody.
Thank you guys. See you later.